DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion. This phrase has taken the world by storm. You hear it from politicians, business owners and pretty much every angry person on Twitter. But what is DEI and why is it taking the world by storm? DEI gets its origins in the 1960s, where key events such as the civil rights movements highlighted the need for more diversity, equity and inclusion in public spaces and institutions. Over time, DEI has morphed from a societal necessity to a corporate buzzword. This is so much so that a whole new industry has been born where consultants charge exuberant fees to score companies on DEI. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, DEI is generally seen as a good thing, as it ensures that those who are traditionally left out of spaces and institutions have better opportunities where they traditionally wouldn't. However, in recent years, DEI has come under serious attack, not just from regular people, but from prominent figures such as Elon Musk. So much so that The Guardian has wrote an article titled "Diversity Policies Face a Full-Out Attack in 2024. Ever since George Floyd's death in 2020, companies have been more sensitive to DEI policies than usual. Their hiring is now based so much on DEI that it's starting to piss some people off. Why? Because these people say that when you start to hire purely for diversity, inclusion and equity bases, you start to ignore merit more and more and more. Hiring on merit basically means you get hired because you deserve to. But the problem is, DEI pretty much bypasses any merit and hires based on quotas. This is a problem that people are starting to notice more and more. You don't need to be thoroughly qualified for a role anymore. Just meet a certain quota that is quite often based on skin color, gender and sexual orientation. Some are calling this out as unfair and hypocritical because this could actually cause discrimination instead of trying to solve discrimination. Claudine Gay was the 30th president of Harvard University and was unfortunately seen as an example of why DEI doesn't work. She was seen by many as somebody who was only hired to improve Harvard's optics because she was a black woman, not because she was the best person to lead an historic institution like Harvard. This was seemingly proven correct because Claudine Gay has recently been forced to resign as president of Harvard. Of all the reasons for her to be pressured to resign, she resigned because of multiple citation violations over multiple years in the papers that she wrote. Let that sink in for a second. A president of a top university in the world resigned because she couldn't and didn't keep up with the same high academic standards she would expect from her students. What does this tell you? Is DEI really working? You decide. As I mentioned before, Elon Musk has become a prominent dissenter against DEI. He coined the quote, "DEI must DIE." He recently got into this with the backer of DEI, Marc Cuban. Elon started the conversation on the platform X by stating, "Discrimination on the basis of race, which DEI does, is literally the definition of racism." Mark then replied to this by giving his very detailed opinion on DEI and highlighting the more positive aspects of DEI, which we've already mentioned. Elon then very wittingly responded, "Cool, so when should we expect to see a short white Asian woman on the Mavs?" If you don't know, Marc Cuban owns the Dallas Mavericks, an NBA team which, by the way, was rated the most white team in the NBA. This sparked a huge debate in which multiple accounts with a large number of followers such as Bill Ackman, The White Rabbit, Ed Krasenstein contributed to this conversation. It's safe to say that DEI is a topic that sparks a number of emotions in people. Boeing, the airplane company, is currently under significant criticism, not only due to a string of air disasters that have caused safety concerns, including the disturbing incident where the door of a Boeing aircraft came off mid-flight, but also for its approach to diversity, equity and inclusion. A recent exposing post on X has shed light on Boeing's controversial practice of linking DEI targets to annual bonuses, a departure from the traditional profit-orientated model. This unconventional incentivization strategy has further intensified scrutiny on the company, especially in the midst of persistent challenges that it's grappling with. Elon Musk again weighed in on the matter, questioning the prioritization of DEI hiring over passenger safety, stating, Do you want to fly in an aeroplane where they prioritize DEI hiring over your safety? That is actually happening. When you think of DEI, there is no doubt that its intentions are for good, to include as many people as possible who wouldn't ordinarily get the chance. However, as the saying goes, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. The well-intentioned nature of DEI has no doubt been warped into an agenda, unfortunately. That agenda has become politically woke in nature and rewards inherent biases instead of contributing to the meritocracy culture that we are supposed to be living in. As a young person trying to get their life kick-started, it can be frustrating when you are working hard, university or in your job, only for you to lose out to someone else who gets the job or promotion over you, not because they deserve it, but because of inherent biases within a company. It's funny because black people would say that this is exactly what they've been going through for a very long time. And it's now ironic that they are likely to be chosen for a job over a white person purely because of the color of their skin. However, this seems like structured racism, and we probably should live in a society that aims to reduce bias completely instead of just replacing one bias with another. We shouldn't have to live in a society that brings people down just to lift others up. So, as a young, ambitious person, what can you do? Well, you can only control what you can control, which is your work ethic. You can't control what the world does in terms of DEI, ESG, or any other policy a company decides to engage in. But you can control how hard you work and how much you learn. With this DEI stuff, it may seem that the world is rigged against you. But the world has a funny way of rewarding those who put in genuine work anyway, despite the challenge they face. So keep working, ignore the noise, and your reward will come. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Our goal at Save the Young is to educate people who are trying to get their life kick-started on the topics of business, politics, and economics. You can watch our latest video on the #1 book a young person should read this year now.